Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with Max for your match preview for Luton Town against Aston Villa. Sorry, we're not doing a live show. Few bits on this weekend, so doing a pre-record, but still get your comments in, your score predictions, your lineup predictions, anything you want to discuss in the chat. Make sure you get in the comments and do hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to become a member as well, as we had new members last week, which is fantastic. If you want to support the channel that little bit more, then click the join button on the channel. $1.99 a month, less than a third of the cost of a pint. And the reason why I'm talking about it now is we are going to do a special members only prize draw. We will announce the winner, I think, next week after the Tottenham game. But you can win a special set of these Aston Villa football playing cards by the designer Matty723. They're really, really good. Got some fantastic little designs on them. Going through all the players, so you've got Martinez as the ace, number 1. You've got Tyrone Mings in there as number 5. Yeah, some really good set of cards. And you can be in the prize draw if you click the link and become a member. Okay, so make sure you get involved in that. That's enough of me rambling on. Max, how you doing? It's been a while, mate.
It has been a while. I haven't been on for a few weeks. I don't know what I've been playing at. Well, yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, I know. You're usually my fans forum buddy at like 10 p.m. on a Tuesday
Yeah.
night or something. But yeah, but no, great to have you on. And since you've been on last, I mean, Villa have gone through a little bit of a tough time. Now we seem
Mm.
to be back on track. 3 wins out of 4, 2 wins in a row in the Premier League. It's looking up. It's looking good.
Yeah, I mean, it were what the United game was a tough one. It was like Villa of old. It felt like in terms of having lots of chances, and you almost knew they were going to get that chance and score at the end. But yeah, back to Villa Park normality against Forest with that win. I mean, they looked quite poor to be honest, and we still let them score two, which is a bit frustrating. But considering the defensive line at times with Chambers and Lenglet, it actually wasn't so bad.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we'll talk kind of defense a bit later in terms of what we think or who we think might play because there was encouraging signs as to who was back in training this week. So we'll talk that in a bit. But yeah, I mean, obviously we talked about on the recent episodes about kind of this run of games, Fulham, Nottingham Forest, Luton being really, really important to try and get maximum points from those games to then take us into that Tottenham game, which ultimately now I know there's a fair way to go in the season, but is looking like the game that kind of is the Champions League spot playoff almost.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that it's been sandwiched between two games against
Mm.
Ajax, really. But I mean, that is about as important as a game can be at the minute. I mean, win that, and we'll be 5 points ahead of them with however many games to go, and then lose, and we're a point behind with however many games to go. So it's yeah, it's going to be. I mean, I can't imagine how good the atmosphere is going to be for that one because that's going to be with Ajax, especially after that. That's going to be a few good days.
Yeah. I mean, it always has that funny thing about times across the season of being of a run of games almost being season defining, and it does seem like that is the case. Obviously there's within the Premier League there's lots of games to go. We've got Arsenal to play, Man City to play, Liverpool to play, and I'm sure Tottenham have got some tough games. But yeah, you want to beat the teams around you, which is the big thing. So, but obviously the third match in this run is Luton on Saturday, and they've surprised a few this season, and I kind of had an inkling that they would be as they are because I think if you looked at Sheffield United, they kind of almost kind of gave up as soon as they got promoted. Burnley have tried to arrogantly, in my opinion, tried to play exactly the same as they've done in the Championship. But Luton, I thought the way they play will make it. difficult four teams, and out of the three teams that have come up, they're the ones that have got the best chance of staying up.
Yeah, they also made some like good signings that were they didn't go for like these unproven like kind of like random guys like Sheffield United have gone for. They went like Ross Barkley. This like just went for like these kind of like steady players that were probably a lot of them are probably championship quality in terms of like Ogbene and stuff. Players like this that are like that you probably say are probably like using football manager term probably leading championship players.
Mm,
But then they've done it right because now if they go down, they probably got one of the better chances going back up of the three teams. But they're just playing in a way that suffocates teams. And I mean, I know Man City battered them the other day, but I mean they've made many teams look like they're struggling. Like they play away, especially at their ground where it's hard for teams to get out and play how they want to play, which
exactly.
could be a bit
Yeah,
of a worry for
exactly.
us.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're dead right. What they've done is they've used what advantages or what kind of unexpected things they've got in their favour. Not no team really has experienced Kenilworth Road in the Premier League. You've got these players from all over the world going to this little ground, and it's just like what the hell. And then obviously it's a tight ground, not that many people can get in. It's quite intimidating. The way they play reminds me almost of like. The kind of Stoke of
Yeah.
old. Like intimidating, can play good football, but win second balls. I've got a couple of really good ball players, as in Ross Barkley, and they've got pace out wide, and then big physical presence up front. And when you get, it's almost like you can see the corner or free kick against Luton, you're in trouble, and that's the thing. That's the slight thing that worries me about us facing them this week, because we're not the best from set pieces at the moment.
Mm. No, we just have a general lack of much height. I think is the
Yeah,
the thing that, and then they're coming in with three centre halves and three massive strikers. So it's like it literally could be anything that happens. But I mean they haven't been in good form. That's the only good thing to look back on, I suppose, that they haven't been winning games against teams that are at a similar level to us in their last few games. So that's
yeah, yeah. It's almost like they've given teams a game, but they've ended up most of the time coming out on the wrong end of it. So that's one thing, and that yes, they do concede goals. They are obviously, if a team's quality does shine through, then they will inevitably concede. And that their goalkeeper has had a brilliant season, but he has ultimately let in goals, and they've lost games. So yeah, obviously you'd be looking at Villa's quality to come through. Just a couple of bits more on Luton before we kind of talk about Villa. Um, a couple of ex-Villa players. Obviously, you mentioned Ross Barkley being a shrewd sign-in. Marvelous Nakamba has been hampered by injury. I think he's on his way back. I'm not sure if he'll make it for this game, but they're two players who've really taken to life at Luton. And I mean, if Nakamba had been fitter for longer in the season, they probably would have had better results. He's a big player for them. But yeah, it's good to see those two players doing well. And I mean, in the chat the other day, people talk about could we get Ross Barkley back?
no, no.
I'm not of that opinion, but it's
Yeah,
good to see him
no.
playing well, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I mean, it reminds me of when he was that first, however long that he was at Villa for that his first month. In him and Grealish were like flying, and then he got injured. Grealish got injured, and then they just both. Like, he never came back the same player. But and then he's kind of. I mean, he's been like Nice. He's been all around. He's been around.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I mean, it is good to see him finally looking like the player he's supposed to be, kind of thing. Because he's always had that. Everyone's always knew he's a player, but then he's finally actually looking like the player that we thought he might turn into. So
yeah.
that's so
Yeah,
brilliant.
no, he has been brilliant, and it's almost like, for that kind of, I think it was probably like a 10-game stretch where he was brilliant for Villa, that
Mm.
first kind of part of the season, but he's kept it going all season. And we will have to watch out for him, getting on the ball. He plays a little bit deeper, and then he kind of eases himself into the game. making kind of later runs, and they kind of play around him, which is really good. Um, they have got one or two injuries, which might play in our favour. Adebayo's injured. Obviously, I mentioned the Canberra, and they, like you say, they do get pulled across the back a little bit. So, and they've had the midweek game in the cup. So maybe there's a little bit of fatigue that slots in there. We've had a week off. So yeah, how do you see kind of Emery approaching this game? Before we talk about specific players, how do you see Emery approaching this game?
It's tough to. Oh, I mean, we don't really ever deviate from how we play. It's just like we kind of maybe we might go a bit longer against some teams. We might play a bit shorter, but it's probably going to be along as much on the floor as possible because of them. They play a back five pretty much, and then two of their midfielders, as you say, with Barkley, is quite deep, especially if they've got like Nakamba or it's been the Conga recently. That he's
Yeah,
also more of a defensive-minded player, so he's also closer to the back line than he is to the forwards. So, so at times they're going to have seven players plus a goalkeeper there. So trying to play along the floor as much as possible is going to be needed. But I mean, we've struggled against low blocks. We
mm,
like not so much in recent weeks, but like thinking back to the Burnley game at home, the Sheffield United game at home, we have struggled at times to kind of find that space to make something happen. I mean, we beat them at home, so you can say that we've done it already. But away at Kenilworth Road with all their fans and potentially seven players sitting in front of the ball, and then you've also got to deal with like I know Adebayo's injured, but then Carlton Morris, Corley Woodrow going the other way. It sounds difficult just on paper. Never mind actually on the day.
yeah, no, I think you're right, and it's one of those where there's a couple of like what we said about kind of being difficult to maybe predict how Emery approached it because you can go all guns blazing and go out fast, and then maybe leave yourself open to like a goal on the break, which then means that the Luton just sit right back. Or you can go, oh, we'll be patient, we'll pass it around, we'll wait for the opening. And then all of a sudden it gets to 60, 70, 80, 85 minutes and you haven't broken them down. And all of a sudden you get impatient and then let a goal in. I think what we did well against them at home was we got that early couple of goals. So I would be I would be looking at trying to settle down and trying to get an early goal. You know, almost kind of one or two in that sense. A bit like what we did to Sheffield United, because then it forces them to open out a bit, and then you can kind of pick them off. But it's not going to be an easy ask because they're a different proposition to say Sheffield United at the moment.
Yeah, they're just more solid. They know what
Mm.
everyone knows what they're doing, and everyone knows their jobs. I mean, I know it's not really on top, but I still can't understand Sheffield United, a team that can't defend and they're conceding five every week, but and not scoring any goals, but still play five at the back and one up front. It's crazy.
It is the definition of like insanity, but also they just aren't good enough, and it is what it is. Almost, it's kind of just an
Yeah,
admission to saying that, really. But yeah, obviously, yeah, like you say, Luton are a different proposition. Now that being said, we are in really good form at the moment. We've just come off an excellent performance against Nottingham Forest, where we're talking about Leon Bailey putting in a brilliant performance. Douglas Luiz with two goals. Ollie Watkins in the goals as well. Playing really, really, really well. Nominated for Premier League Player of the Month. John McGinn inspiring. So they will be wary of our kind of attacking prowess. I haven't even mentioned Jacob Ramsey there. I haven't mentioned Yuri Tielemans there. So we have goals from all angles, and that is. We have players playing well, and that is really, really something that is massively, massively in our favour at the moment.
yeah. I mean, Bailey, Bailey's he's actually quite ridiculous at the minute. It seems unfair. I mean, all the Forest fans coming into that game. I can't remember his name. Was it like Forest Fan TV or something? And he's doing his like clickbaity prediction,
Right.
like combined 11, and he's like puts Murillo in there, so he's he's like the best centre back in the league, whatever. And then within 10 minutes, he's been absolutely skinned alive by Bailey, and like so,
He's
so
a bit
like
like a cheat code at the moment,
yeah, at the
to
minute he
borrow
just,
a
he just
phrase from the
yeah,
kids.
yeah, literally just he never. And as he always, my criticism was that he always used one foot. Like you just knew he was cutting inside, and that was his game kind of thing. And everyone knew that well, that's what he wanted. But now he's going either which way. I don't know how he's changed in such a short amount of time, but he seems to have just developed the knack of going outside, inside, and it might and
Yeah.
it's leaving defenders with no hope because he's just rapid as well. So you can't even if he's going one way, that's the way he's going. You ain't stopping him at the minute anyway.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And what's also interesting is we've kind of almost evolved this over these course of the last few games in terms of attacking more down that right hand side. Bailey isn't just the end point. We covered it in our talking tactics show. There's been a lot of passes from Matty Cash onto Leon Bailey to kind of and give him the space to go one on one. And then also you've got the Ramsey Moreno kind of combination that's starting to work on the left hand side, and then you potentially got Luca Dean to come on with like 25 minutes, half an hour to go as well. So we've almost got that, where we were always lopsided to the left, and then Bailey might finish off a move on the right hand side. We've now got kind of double double the threat really from both flanks, which is even more difficult for teams to defend against us, and is exactly what we need against a back five.
Yeah, I mean, like Matty Cash started passing the ball forwards against like in the last few games, and it's worked. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy what passing the ball forwards does, opposed to just turning around and passing it back to Martinez off the time. So that's actually like against Forest, he was in the box,
Yeah.
like he was actually flying forward, which was nice to see because, as I say, it doesn't always have to be Moreno. Moreno's not always like. There's got to be times when Cash actually goes forward because I was saying he was a winger like before, and then he was a midfielder, and then he was a right back. So he's been an attacker for the majority of his career, but I don't know where that kind of had faded off because he wasn't really for most of this season anyway. I've kind of been frustrated because he gets the ball and immediately he's almost looking to turn back on
Mm.
himself to pass it back. But against Forest especially, he was getting forward and stuff like that, and it was making a difference, especially when Moreno could do it on the other side as well. It just made such a difference going forward.
Yeah, it does. It does, and it's funny because he's been asked to concentrate a little bit more on keeping his position as the kind of the right back or the auxiliary centre back to come across. It's almost made his game better in terms of being able then to see what's in front of him more, rather than him just concentrating on trying to overlap or trying to support the attacker, and then, like you said, inevitably just passing it backwards. Where now he can see the game in front of him and he can play the ball forwards, which is really helping him. And yeah, it's great to see, and like I say, it's going to be something that we'll need to keep that width. We'll need to keep switching the play to pull Luton across the pitch. What we have seen this week, in much more kind of positive news, is Esri Konsa back in training, John Duran back in training. So are you? This is kind of before the press conference, but are you expecting a potential appearance in the squad, or maybe even the starting 11 for one of those two, and both of them potentially in the squad?
I can imagine him in the squad. I don't know how much he'll play. I think we always seem to. It's like, it harks back to when Grealish was injured like years ago, and we just won't say whether these players are fit or not, and it always has frustrated me because I don't understand why it really matters. But like, he could be in the squad, or he could like. It doesn't really matter what Emery says to later today because it either will be or he won't be because they don't.
Yeah, I
They
know what you mean.
like
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. It
Torres
just,
was
yeah.
yeah, Torres will be fit next week and then was out for a month. So it could be he's back in training, so hopefully that means he can be in the squad. But yeah, I mean, I'm just I don't know what it is. I quite like Langley, so but as we were saying about Cash, because he's actually been quite good recently. I kind of hope that Conser starts actually playing centre back again
Yeah,
because I don't
yeah, yeah.
at the minute I don't think Cash is worthy of being dropped for Conser as a right
Oh
back.
no, absolutely
So
not.
that
No, no. I,
because
th- I think it. I think it would be a concert back in at centre back. Um, I mean, it's interesting because people were on social media saying there was no pictures of Torres in training this week. So whether it would be, and I'll put my predicted lineup on in a second. But people in the chat, put your predicted lineups as well in there, and don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and if you want to become a member and be eligible for our members only prize to win a set of these exclusive Aston Villa Football Club 23-24 playing cards, then do click the join button as well. Yeah, I was saying that it would be concerning at centre back because Cash, yeah, absolutely has played well enough. It's just whether if Conte's fit, the presence in the box that he will give us, particularly against a team like Luton, would be invaluable. Having said that, I don't think Chambers is too bad in the air, but
No.
I'll put my starting lineup up. You kind of give your comments. So I've got Martinez in goal. I've gone Cash. I've put Conser in there because I think if he's training and he's been able to train since Tuesday or whenever it was, I think he should be fit to play. Put Longley in at left centre back because I don't think Torres will be fit. We haven't seen pictures of him in training. Now, also that could be that he's done the old Paul McGrath situation where he doesn't train in the week and just turns up on a Saturday and plays. So that
Yeah.
could be a situation. Moreno at left back. Although I think Luca Dean's probably knocking on the door there. McGinn, Louise, Tielemans, Ramsey, Bailey, Watkins. I think that picks itself. Now, what it does give us is a bit more strength in depth off the bench. If there's a Duran back in the squad, you've obviously got Zaniolo, you've got um, Musa Diaby. So you've got Luca Dean. So you've got starting to get some real good strength in terms of first team players on the bench, which bodes well for the next few weeks, which is really really good. So any thoughts on that team? Anything that you would or wouldn't do?
I mean, I'd probably have the same. I'd probably have Chambers in there just because I'm not. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I feel like there's. I know he's back in training, but I can't imagine, especially with a knee injury. I don't know how
Mm,
likely he is to just be thrown back in. But at the same time, I hope he is because he is like a level above what. Not that Lenglet's actually been quite
he
decent
has. He's been excellent. Yeah.
considering he got quite a lot of stick towards the start of the season when he wasn't playing very much, which I thought was unwarranted at the time anyway. But he was still people weren't exactly enamoured by him. But then now he stopped. There was a few times where he was doing chop turns on the edge of the box and stuff like that, and it was like
Mm.
really dangerous. And I think it was it was unnerving a few people, but he's kind of cut that out, and he's just been just playing simple passes, and that's basically what he's there to do now. Especially he looked very good with Torres on side as well. To be fair,
He has. He has. Yeah, they're two, really comfortable on the ball, playing centre backs, and yeah, I think he would. I know he's played at the back with Conte before in the Conference League, and it didn't look great, but I think it'd be a different proposition now with him playing alongside him because Longley's obviously got used to the pace of the Premier League. Um, I, it depends to the extent of what Conte's injury was. Like, was it a knee injury, as in a knee kind of strain? Like one or a ligament injury, or was it just an impact knee injury that because he did smash
it
into the
hit the
post, and
post.
whether it
Yeah,
was just like a badly bruised knee and kind of muscle kind of pain in that sense. If it was the latter, then he should be fine.
Hmm.
Because it was just an impact thing that probably just needed 2 or 3 weeks rest and then kind of get back into it. So yeah, it just depends on that. But yeah, like you say, it would be brilliant to have him back and in a key run of games. And as I say, the ability to have these players now off the bench who can come on and impact things is invaluable as well. Obviously, I forgot about Morgan Rogers as well, who can maybe come off the bench and do something. In It's almost like we want to be 3-0 up in a game with like 20 minutes to go to be able to bring on like DRB for 20-25 minutes, Rogers for 20 minutes. We want to be able to do that. Even Zaniolo, for more than kind of 10 minutes because you want to give them an opportunity to get into the pace of a game, particularly with a number of European games, hopefully coming up with minimum 2, but we hope it's more than that. So yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to have a comfortable victory, wouldn't it, Max?
Yeah, well, it always would be for us. It's never how it works. I mean, I wouldn't surprise me if it kind of went either way. If we were like winning like 2 at half time and it was just kind of ebbed out, I wouldn't be surprised. Or if it was a closer fought, like we win like 1-0, just about kind of get on, it wouldn't surprise me either. Because as much as I watched Luton quite a bit, but you still never really know what to expect because they've done both kind of performances this season where they've given like Arsenal a game right to the last second,
Mm.
Liverpool they ran to the last second, and then they get smashed 6-2 by Man City, lose to Sheffield United, lose to Burnley. So they've got they are like a proper Jekyll and Hyde kind of team when it comes. I mean, I don't know whether maybe they kind of get up for the bigger games, but then will they look at Villa as one of those big games, even if we are in the top 4 kind of thing? So could be that's what I mean. It could easily go one of two ways. It's not wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to a Luton Town fan on the 12th Man podcast with Dan Potts, the Arsenal fan, and he does like a Premier League kind of fans roundup, and that he was saying that they're quite bullish going into this game. They see it as a bit of revenge on Villa after having beaten us. We beat them, earlier on this season, but also like you say, like a team that's in the top 4 or the top 6 or whatever that they can potentially ruffle the feathers of. So we've just got to show what a good side we are. There's still that. I think sometimes people forget the results that Villa have had. Like we've just won back to back, but because we lost to Man United, that's still in people's minds that we lost to Man United, not the fact that we've won 3 out of the last 4. So we've got to put that to bed by beating a team like Luton and showing that we've got that metal to kind of put a real run of victories together. So yeah, just to finish up then, mate, you've said there you don't know what type of team Luton could be. I'll ask you for your prediction in a second. I'll give you a second to think about it. Um, Everyone, you get your comments in now. Let us know your score predictions in the chat, please. And like I said before, if you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, we are pushing off beyond 3,400 on the road to 4,000. It'd be amazing to get there within the next month or so. We're actually very, very close as well. I'll put a tweet out soon to 400,000 views of the channel, which is just unreal. So I want to thank you all for your support. But we don't want to stop there. We want to keep going. So yeah, like, subscribe, and get your comments in the chat. So Max, prediction, score, and scorers.
Well, I was going to say 2-0, but we always seem to concede at the minute, so I'll go 2-1. I think we'll go 2-0 and they'll get a scrappy one at some point and make it a game of it towards the end, but we'll see it out.
Nice. And
Uh,
who are you fancying for a goal?
I'll give Watkins and then a midfielder, so either Tielemans or McGinn. So I'll go Tielemans.
That'd be nice for him to get a goal. Obviously, hit the post the other day. Was involved in a lot of the attacking plays. It'd be nice for him to get a goal. I'm going to go a bit more comfortable than that. I have to
No,
say, I think we're going
hope
to
so.
win. Yeah, I think we're going to win 3-0. I don't think we're going to concede. I think we're going to put an assured performance out there. He says now. But yeah, I think we're going to win 3-0. And look, do you know what it is? Villa fans, it's so hard for us not to kind of have this defeatist attitude, but we've won 16 games this season. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
we should be expecting to win, but it's just that mentality of like, oh, yeah, well, Villa, it's typical Villa, they're just going to let us down. But yeah, I'm going to say 3-0. I'm going to say Watkins will continue his goal scoring run. I think Ramsey, I think will score. I think he's so close to getting a goal, and I think a substitute will score. So let's go Musa for a goal.
Mhm.
The forgotten
Pushing
man
the boat
almost. Yeah,
out.
forgotten man. But let's say 3-0. But yeah. Max, been great to have you back on the channel. Hopefully, you will be back for more shows over the coming weeks. We'll be back for instant reaction from myself, full match reaction with the boys, fans forum, talking tactics, you name it. So make sure that you stay in touch with the channel. Make sure you put your notifications on so you know when we're live. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching, and as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone.